Hey guys, welcome back to Fundamentally Crypto, where I teach you how to navigate the cryptoverse. So today we will be discussing a coin called Moonriver, and specifically the bull case for Moonriver in 2022. We've seen Moonriver receive a lot of attention in 2021 as parachains launched on Kusama, and we saw the price go parabolic. But now it's returned to a more reasonable price, and I believe that this is a great entry point for those who have not already gotten in. So just in brief, the basic principle behind what Moonriver does and what it is it's a smart contract platform that's built on the Kusama blockchain that effectively provides a one-stop hub for developers and for users to redeploy Ethereum Dapps without needing to configure them specifically for the network. Okay, so we know that Kusama forms part of the Polkadot network and is referred to as a testnet or as a Canary network for Polkadot. But a lot of people will stop there and say, okay, no, but it doesn't really have value because projects are ultimately going to, progress beyond Kusama. But as we know currently, that's not really the case, right? We've seen Kusama develop into an independent ecosystem with a fully fledged community and with amazing teams building incredible projects on the network. And it's for these reasons that I believe the broader market isn't pricing in the value of Kusama and the projects being built on it. And in my view, this is where the opportunity lies. So just to recap on what we saw in 2021, we saw a massive year of layer one narratives, right? We see the top 10 cryptocurrencies being dominated by different layer one protocols such as Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, Avalanche, Binance, Terra Luna, and Polkadot, which is obviously technically a layer zero. And why this is important is the crypto market is heavily influenced by sentiment, by news, and ultimately fundamental shifts in the industry. So in the past year, we saw layer ones grow and obviously go parabolic, but at the same time, we saw the dApps being built on those layer ones also increase tremendously in price. So in this case with Moonriver, I believe that it did to a certain extent benefit from the layer one narrative, but I believe that that layer one narrative will continue in 2022. And I believe that as each of these networks grow, Moonriver will be swept up in the rising tide and benefit greatly in the coming year. So specifically what the role of Moonriver is in this narrative is that Moonriver is a full Ethereum-like environment and it works with industry standard Ethereum tools. So why this is important is that Moonriver network, like you don't need to make any modifications to your code for the dApps you've built in Solidity. So this is important because you can literally just transport them in a frictionless way with extremely low gas fees while still using the Ethereum coding language. So it is important to know that Ethereum has the largest network of developers with teams that have high quality projects and that have been in incubation for years. But these teams don't necessarily want to launch onto a chain that's pretty much unusable for everyday users due to the high gas fees. So the obvious solution would be to launch on a chain that is EVM compatible, which means it has a full Ethereum-like environment and works with industry standard Ethereum tools, dApps, and protocols. So ultimately, what you need to draw from this is that Ethereum projects can literally replicate their dApp and deploy it on Moonbeam using the tools that they've built. But now, why Moonriver? Because we know that a lot of other layer ones are also EVM compatible. So why specifically am I pushing Moonriver? So to understand why it's highly undervalued, you need to understand the history of Ethereum and the incredible minds that actually started it. So a bit of a history lesson is way back in 2013, Vitalik Buterin introduced the concept of Ethereum in the white paper, and then that was announced at the North American Bitcoin conference in 2014. And so this is where he met Gavin Wood, and he stepped up to be the chief technical officer of Ethereum, and he was responsible for the yellow paper defining the EVM, the Ethereum virtual machine, which is the runtime system for smart contracts in Ethereum. And then in 2015, Gavin Wood proposed the concept of Web3. Okay, so just quickly a reminder that Gavin Wood's the founder and the brainchild behind Polkadot and Kusama. So he proposed this concept of Web 3.0, which is to establish a decentralized and free web environment to break the monopoly of internet giants and return data, privacy, sovereignty to users, and to become the basis for individual freedom to oppose violent authority. So in 2016, we saw him leave Ethereum for a number of reasons, but ultimately he left Ethereum to start Parity, which is what developed into Polkadot and Kusama. Now, why this is important is that he left right with a vision of addressing really important issues that have always existed in the blockchain space. So he saw the writing on the wall when he was at Ethereum, right? ETH 2.0 was meant to come out a number of years ago, and it still hasn't happened. So he left with a vision of, solving those issues himself and building something from scratch. And that's what he was building from 2016 through to 2020 or 2021. So what he did is he built something that solves for scalability in performance, flexibility in architecture design, and upgradability in governance. So Gavin Wood, he was the early brains behind Ethereum and the creator of Solidity, which is the most popular blockchain coding language. And he was the one who left Ethereum to build a truly scalable, secure, and upgradable blockchain, right? He is the one who built Polkadot and Kusama, which is Moonriver, which is what Moonriver is built on. So when you realize the role that he had in the history of crypto, one would want to go with whatever he's working on, right? Because he's one of the OGs in the space. So in light of that and understanding that he didn't leave Ethereum to try and destroy ETH, right? What Polkadot and Kusama is doing is they're actually scaling Ethereum, effectively playing the role of ETH 2.0. So Kusama, in light of that, Kusama is fundamentally undervalued as a network, and the dApps built on it even more so. So once again, to understand that value, you need to look at who built it. And once you understand who built it, you realize the potential of the projects being built upon that. So Moonriver enables smart contracts on Kusama and opens up endless possibilities to grow the network. So just looking at a bit of on-chain metrics, but when we look at the tokenomics of Moonriver, there was actually no allocation to the founding team, nor any private sales, VCs, or seed rounds that have been conducted at when the network was launched. So why this is important is you don't really see this that often in crypto. Oftentimes, the tokenomics are quite skewed against you as an ordinary retail investor. So what that means is later on, as the network grows and as the price increases, the venture capital firms would often just dump the coins on your head, which would drop the price, and you can't really do anything about it. So in this case, the community actually owns a large majority of the Moonriver tokens on the network, which is great, right? For you as an investor, you want to see that, and you want to make sure, okay, it's not in the hands of some greedy VCs that are just going to drop it on your head. So specifically, what you can use the token for is very much like other L1s, but just in short, it's for smart contract execution, incentivizing collators and validators to secure the network, which means you can actually use it for staking, and you can facilitate different on-chain governances. So it's important to also remember that it is a deflationary force. When these transaction fees happen, 80% of those fees will be burnt, which ultimately act as a deflationary force for the token. Now, when we look at a relative valuation of how Moonriver sizes up to the rest of the market and the different L1s in the top 10, we see that Moonriver is, you could call it heavily undervalued, or you can just say fairly valued. But in my view, based on how many dApps are already deployed on Moonriver and how much Kusama will grow in 2022, I believe that the relative valuation is, we're seeing really bullish signs here. So relative to Atom, Avalanche, Luna, as you can see here, this graph is basically showing what the fully diluted market cap is relative to Moonriver. So for Moonriver to have the market cap of Atom or Cosmos, it would have to 3x. For Avalanche, it would have to 18x, and for Luna, 27x. So obviously these are pretty high multiples, but if you just capture a small portion of these L1's market share, you'll already see tremendous growth in the Moonriver token. So when we look at on-chain activity of Moonriver, it is the most active parachain on Kusama. So out of all of the different projects that launched on Kusama through the parachain launch process, Moonriver is number one in terms of activity. So they've seen over 70 integrations and with over 360,000 wallets on the network, with total value locked growing very, very, very well. So when looking at the market cap to total value locked, we see it relative to L1s, it's not that undervalued, but relative to the big dogs, it can still grow a lot more. So the number of partnerships that Moonriver has formed will cause that TVL to explode as the activity on the Kusama network continues to grow and expand. So what I'm saying is that in 2022, as Polkadot and Kusama really take off, this lower ratio will cause the market cap and ultimately the price of Moonriver to explode. So given that Moonriver is EVM compatible, we can make certain assumptions to see what the price would look like. So if we had to assume that Moonriver just gets 5 to 10% of the market share of Ethereum, we can get an idea of the potential price targets for Moonriver. Okay, so using the price of $175 as of the 14th of December 2021, we can get the following prices. So assuming we just get 1%, right? So if Moonriver gets 1% market share of Ethereum, the price of Moonriver will be $1,425, which would result in roughly 700% return on investment if you had to buy Moonriver at a price of about $175, right? So this is a reasonable assumption to make, considering the value proposition of Kusama and of Polkadot in the coming years. And obviously you can test this out for yourself, but it really shows you how much room for growth there is for this network. So just in conclusion, what I wanted to share in this article is that if you consider the backstory of how Kusama started, how Gavin Wood left Ethereum so that he could build the future of blockchain technology, right? He never intended to destroy Ethereum, but rather to complement the ecosystem and the community that had already been established. So when you realize that Moonriver ultimately scales and supports Ethereum, you will understand the value that is yet to be unlocked in this ecosystem. Awesome. So just a reminder of the tokenomics, I just want to show you here graphically, is that 30% was handed out through the parachain crowd loan. So that's effectively still vesting for, I think it's another few months, but once that is done, 30% of the supply will be in the hands of the community. 40% will be given through staking and through community initiatives and the parachain slot reserve, which effectively means that if different projects want to build on Moonriver, they can approach the Moonbeam Foundation and ask for an allocation of tokens so that they can build and that they have funds to do that. So that's what that is for. And effectively what you can see here is that there were no founders rewards, which means the Pure Stake team developing Moonriver didn't get any of the tokens at network genesis, which is pretty bullish for you as an investor to see. So if we had to follow the narrative, the thinking of what do the developers do, right? Because if you think about it, if you look at what the developers are spending their time on, then you can ultimately and fundamentally see, which blockchain and which network will be the most undervalued. So throughout 2021, we've seen Polkadot and Kusama dominate the top two spots of GitHub activity, which effectively tells you as an investor to say, okay, this is where developers are spending most of their time on, right? They're adding code, they're making changes, etc. And you can take this as an indication of tech and new developments being built on these blockchains. So we've seen Polkadot and Kusama being number 1 and 2 for a lot of the months throughout 2021. So you need to see that and say, okay, I don't see the price being reflected, right? You see this massive developer activity, but I'm seeing other blockchains gain more price action. So you as a fundamental investor will say, okay, if the developers are developing on these networks, then evidently they're seeing the scalability and the future growth potential, because otherwise they wouldn't be there. right? They also want some remuneration for the effort, so they wouldn't build on a network they don't believe will succeed. So looking at that, fundamentally, you can say, okay, we haven't seen as great price action coming from Kusama and Polkadot, which means in 2022 you can expect that to come through, and you can expect the Moonriver token that's built on Kusama to benefit from that adoption. Cool. So just looking a bit at the technical analysis. So as you can see here, it launched on the 27th of August, and then it went pretty much parabolic at the start. So it started at around, we'll take it from the first candle, it started at around $75, and then it pushed all the way up to about $500, and then it retraced, right? And then it pushed back up, and then it didn't make the higher high, but it consolidated a bit, and then it had the Binance listing. So this is where this wick comes from. It had the Binance listing, and as we know from history, once a project lists on Binance, it usually trends downwards after that until it finds a bottom and it consolidates, and then it continues upwards. So in this case, we pushed up, we came down after the first wave, pushed up again, consolidated, we broke here through our lower low, and now it's finding support over here at around 160 to 180, and it's just hovering over here. So what happened over here is, well, I thought it broke out over here with this big green candle. It came back to retest the support or this moving average, and then it would have continued back upwards, but then obviously Bitcoin capitulated. So we must remember that it's completely dependent on how Bitcoin moves, but I believe it's found a bottom over here, and it will consolidate until Bitcoin recovers and trends back upwards. So just looking at the RSI, we can see it bottomed over here, and now it's just slowly trending upwards. And I believe that the price will do that as well. So I think what you can look for and what you can do now is you can just dollar cost average into Moonriver. So let's say every time it falls below $190 or $180, you just make a small allocation to this token, and then you dollar cost average into this position until it shows a clear breakout, and then you can commit more capital. So that's just that in terms of the technical analysis. And then where you can buy Moonriver is, I would recommend buying it on KuCoin, Kraken, or Binance. There's a lot of liquidity there, and you can get easily in and out of those exchanges. And yeah, guys, I think bottom line is you just need to think about the bigger picture of what's happening for Moonriver, and for how 22 will be a massive year for this token. Okay, so please remember, this isn't financial advice. This is all my opinion, and please only take it as that. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in to Fundamentally Crypto, and please like and subscribe to the video, and consider going to follow me on Twitter. All right, guys, have a good day. Cheers.